This past week, I was at Fantastic Fest watching a ton of awesome movies. One of the ones I thoroughly enjoyed is a Korean film called Hunt. So let's talk about it. As I mentioned before, I've been at Fantastic Fest this past week. It is a genre film festival. They show a bunch of horror, action, sci-fi, foreign films, stuff that's kind of bolder, wackier, more violent than is usually in the mainstream, that has kind of a quirky bent to it. That's what the film festival is all about. And in particular, you get to see a bunch of stuff either early or things that never will get a theatrical release here in the US. So it's just a really cool experience. And when you go, you try and watch as many different types of films, different genres, to experience more cinema than what Hollywood usually mass releases. And so one of the films I was able to check out, actually, thus far I've seen 14 films and I'm seeing 2 more tonight. So by the end of it, I'll have seen 16 films in 8 days. But one of them that I saw was a movie called Hunt. It's a Korean espionage action thriller. It was directed by and stars one of the main people from Squid Game, which doesn't mean a whole lot to me because I haven't watched Squid Game yet. I need to do that. But he's kind of the guy that was the talent in front of and behind the camera. The basic setup for it, it's based off some real life events that took place in Korea. I'm not an expert in Korean history, so I'm not really familiar with the events, so I can't elaborate on them. But essentially, it's about the Korean CIA, and it has kind of these 2 lead characters. Each of them are trying to discover who the mole is in the organization while they're trying to stop an attempt to assassinate the Korean president. And the whole time you're kind of going back and forth as to who's right, who's wrong, who's the mole, what's their true motive, just kind of having that whole back and forth from beginning to end and demonstrating how morally ambiguous everyone is. That everyone thinks they're doing the right thing. Everyone has their motivations for why they're doing what they're doing, but they all kind of have this ends justifies the means mindset. And so it's all in the gray. No one is the clear good guy. No one's the clear bad guy. And when you get to the end of it, you're left to kind of decide who was right, who was wrong afterwards. Other nice thing about it is that it's filled with just awesome action sequences. The best point of reference that I would have for them is actually kind of the classic John Woo from his Hong Kong years, minus the doves, minus the slow-mo, minus all like the spinning around in circles, all the ultra stylized stuff that John Woo does in his action movies. It doesn't have that, but it has the dynamic energy, the way the camera moves and the way that when people are shooting, just everything's like exploding on stuff where it just feels like everything is dangerous. Everything is moving. That energy is what is brought to the action sequences in this film. So as someone that loves action movies, in particular John Woo movies, this delivered what I like. Delivers the sort of stuff that I like. As someone that enjoys spy thrillers, once again, I just enjoy these types of stories about who's the mole, what are we going to do to uncover them, who are you going to double cross, all that type of stuff. I love movies like that. So this was a double whammy of 2 types of things that I enjoy mashed together. I will say that this, though, it's pretty convoluted. And it's the sort of movie that when you get to the end of it, you kind of go, I want to rewatch that to see if that made sense. Like, why did they do this? There's a lot of that. It's also very confusing as someone that doesn't really know the history of Korean politics. It's set during the early 80s, and it's just very kind of soaked in a time and a place. It kind of assumes that you have a lot of built-in knowledge. So if you're kind of going in like me, that doesn't have a lot of that information, especially this real specific at times about presidents, politics, reunification, things like that. The plot moves very fast, has a lot of moving parts, a lot of different groups of people. So you really have to pay attention. And when it has subtitles and you're trying to read everything very quickly, it's not the easiest movie to follow. In fact, when it was over with, I saw it with my buddy Cody Leach, and we're like in the lobby like, all right, what did you pick up? What did you pick up? And trying to walk through the plot to make sure neither one of us missed anything. So you got to go in knowing it's not a turn off your brain action movie. I'm also reviewing one called Project Wolf Hunting, that's a turn off your brain action movie. It doesn't matter if you're paying all that much attention. It's all about the gnarly action. This one, you have to pay attention closely. Remember a lot of names, remember a lot of characters, got to remember a lot of motivations. But if you're up for the challenge, if you like espionage spy thrillers with awesome, cool action, this is one that I really enjoyed. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to see more of my Fantastic Fest coverage, it's somewhere around here. I'm going to try and put out a number of these kind of quick one-take reviews for a lot of the movies I put out, as well as a few on my main channel, doing proper full reviews. And then I'm also going to do a ranking of everything that I saw so I can share my thoughts on everything. Since I'm going to see 16 movies. I can't put out 16 videos, but I can put out one video where I talk about 16 movies. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.